The shot cracked through the morning air like a whip, shattering the peace of the 200-year-old Fletcher family ranch. I stumbled backward, pain exploding in my side as my hand instinctively pressed against the warm, wet patch soaking through my shirt. My legs gave out, and I crumpled onto the dirt, gasping. Standing just a few feet away, gun trembling in his grip, was Martin Graves, the HOA president of the neighboring Ridgeview development. "Should have just signed the papers, old man," Martin hissed, his face pale, panic lacing his voice. "You brought this on yourself." My vision blurred, but I could still make out the sprawling oak tree behind him, the same tree my great-great-grandfather planted in 1825 when he first laid claim to this land. I tried to crawl, desperate to back away, but the pain was too much. Around me, the horses stirred uneasily in their pens, cows lowing in confusion. Martin glanced around, breathing hard, eyes wide as if just now realizing the weight of what he'd done. He dropped to one knee beside me, snatching up the documents that had fluttered from my jacket pocket, the same fraudulent property transfer forms he had spent months pressuring me to sign. "Keep your mouth shut," he growled, stuffing the papers into his coat. "No one's going to believe you anyway. You're just a stubborn old fool who doesn't know when to let go." The world started spinning. My family's legacy, everything my ancestors had fought for, was slipping from my fingers. I'd weathered storms, droughts, and developers before, but I never imagined my biggest fight would be against a neighbor with a thirst for control. I tried to shout, to call for help, but my voice was barely more than a whisper. Martin was already retreating toward his shiny black SUV, leaving me bleeding out in the dirt. Just as my eyelids began to flutter closed, I heard the crunch of tires on gravel, the sound of another vehicle approaching fast. 6 months earlier, I never would have guessed my life would come to this. Back then, it all seemed like a simple misunderstanding. The letter from Ridgeview Homeowners Association arrived with crisp lettering and a polished seal. They claimed mandatory membership and special transfer incentives. I laughed at the absurdity and tossed the letter into the fire. Fletcher Ranch had stood here long before Ridgeview ever existed. Nobody told us what to do with our land. Then Martin Graves moved in. You could spot the outsider from a mile away, slick suits, shiny shoes that had probably never touched a gravel road before he came here. He bought a 5-acre slice right near the edge of town and immediately crowned himself president of the Ridgeview HOA. First, I ignored him. Figured he was just another city boy playing cowboy. But the letters kept coming, thicker, more aggressive. Soon enough, Martin was standing on my porch, flashing that phony smile of his. "Mr. Fletcher, you deserve to enjoy your golden years somewhere beautiful. Florida, maybe? California? Why stay here on this dusty old land? Let me make you an offer you can't refuse." I laughed right in his face and closed the door. Martin didn't take no kindly. What started as friendly harassment turned into vandalism. Broken fences, water lines cut in the night, cattle mysteriously let loose, wandering into the road. Every time, Martin showed up with a concerned look and a smug reminder that selling would solve all my problems. When that didn't work, he upped the ante. Fake citations, phony notices claiming my ranch violated HOA regulations. Every time I checked with the county, they told me the same thing: Ridgeview had no authority here. Fletcher Ranch was protected under historical land rights. But Martin kept pushing. One night, after I finished repairing yet another fence someone had cut, I found a bright new "for sale" sign posted at the end of my driveway with my name on it. Furious, I ripped it out of the ground and marched straight to Martin's oversized brick home. "You stay off my land, Graves," I warned, my fists clenched. "Or you'll wish you had." He just smirked, leaning against the doorframe like he had all the time in the world. "You're not as untouchable as you think, Mr. Fletcher." 2 nights later, gunshots peppered my barn. Bullet holes ripped through the old wood doors, sending my livestock scattering. I called Sheriff Ryan Collins, a good man but stretched thin, and no evidence ever tied the attack directly to Martin. Still, I knew in my bones who was behind it. The harassment escalated, but I refused to sell. I couldn't. Fletcher Ranch wasn't just property. It was my family's history, my great-great-grandfather's blood and sweat. Walking away would have been a betrayal. And so it came to that awful morning, me lying in the dirt, bleeding out because I dared to say no. But fate wasn't quite done with me yet. The sound of that second car's tires drew closer. I strained to lift my head, the pain blinding, and caught sight of a familiar face sprinting toward me. "Mr. Fletcher." Deputy Ethan Cole's voice rang out, urgent and panicked. Young and green, but honest. One of the few you could trust in this town. Relief surged through me so fast I almost passed out. Ethan dropped beside me, his flannel shirt pressed hard against the wound, his fingers fumbling for his radio. This is Deputy Cole. Shots fired. Civilian down at Fletcher Ranch. I need an ambulance now. I tried to speak, to name Martin Graves as the shooter, but the words caught in my throat. Nothing more than a rasped Martin. Ethan's eyes narrowed, jaw tightening. I know, he said grimly. I know exactly who did this. Don't you worry, sir. We'll get him. The ambulance's wail grew louder as the minutes crawled by. Ethan stayed by my side, pressing down hard, blood turning his hands slick and red. He kept talking, trying to keep me conscious. My grandfather told me stories about this ranch, he said softly. How your family helped build this town. You're not just some landowner, Mr. Fletcher. Your history. You hang on. You hear me? You hang on. The sirens wailed louder until the ambulance barreled through the ranch gate. Paramedics swarmed, lifting me onto a stretcher. Through the haze of pain, I caught one last chilling sight: Martin Graves standing at the far edge of my property, arms crossed, watching it all unfold with a look of smug satisfaction. The hospital walls reeked of antiseptic and loneliness. The bullet had missed my lung by inches, but the internal bleeding was bad. Surgery kept me under for 3 days. When I woke, Ethan sat beside my bed, a half-eaten sandwich balanced on his knee. You're tougher than a $2 steak, he said with a crooked grin. I tried to smile, but it hurt too much. Where's Graves? I croaked. Ethan's face darkened. Free. Claims you threatened him. Says it was self-defense. And he's got friends on the town council backing up his story. I shook my head weakly, bitterness burning inside. Money and connections buying justice, same as always. But Ethan leaned in closer. We're not done, sir. I found something. One of those forged transfer forms. It blew out of your jacket when you fell. Got Martin's handwriting on it. Matches the documents he filed with the county. He's been faking your signature. Anger gave me strength. They're not getting Fletcher Ranch, I whispered. Ethan smiled thinly. Didn't figure you'd give up easy. Rest up, sir. We're gonna need you. I nodded, feeling hope flicker back to life for the first time in months.